You talked a little bit about your parents and being a foster child. Can you share a little bit about that? Because I think that's really framed who you are now, what challenges you've had, and then how you're trying to overcome those today.
Yeah, yes, I keep saying a lot because your questions are a lot. You're loaded. Just the book, right? Yes, it is safety. I really do think it's
Yeah.
safety. I think at that
Yeah.
moment it's safety because who we are at that moment, we need a certain level of safety. And that
Yeah.
book to me was, yes, let's give people the rule book. You go to these
Yeah.
workshops, these retreats, and read all these amazing books. But I need some talk to me like I'm six
Right.
information. So I use a lot of analogies and some basic things of like, this is how you need to raise yourself. This is the community you need around you, a starting five. You need to lean into love and the relationship of yourself first. And
Right.
yeah, that really did come from these young parents. And, my parents were 16 years old and they
Mm.
were different races and they had came from different cultures. And when they got together, it was over a shared passion of activism. And
Mm.
quickly, my mother was pregnant in 1969, turning 70, in a time where being a white woman with a black baby inside was not really going to help you anywhere. And so she
At
had to
all.
find a place that would take her in since nobody else wanted to help her with the situation she was in. And
Wow.
that really the work she had to go to to lose me in that situation and then do the work to fight to get me back was very clear to her that there was a discrepancy in who she was and why she was able to do certain things. And that led to a life of advocacy. I have to slow down,
Mm.
say that word, which is a big passion of mine. Taking the opportunities to see where things are not working, where people are not being supported to make the big change in their lives, to find joy, to live in any level of safety or peace, is something that is not where people lean to in terms of a career choice. So,
Right. Right.
taking the background of this real pain and sadness and anger my mother had at something that was supposed to be a beautiful experience but became so complicated and difficult for her really fueled me to do the work that I do now. And write this book for the world to see how complicated we've made a concept that's so simple, like you said earlier, being
Right.
truthful first with ourselves.
Yeah.
How do I feel getting out of this brain, which is really only an old computer that keeps us safe? Oh, don't
Right.
walk in the street, you're gonna hit by a car. Remember you talked to that woman last time? She gave all your information away. You know what? This relationship is starting to hinder me. I need to get out. These are all
Right.
things the brain does, but what needs to happen is the heart needs the room to really allow you to feel its truth. This is our
Yeah.
own inner GPS. And when we get safe enough to listen to it and not just decide it's evil because it hurt us once before, we then get on the path of our real truth. And
Right.
that's
Exactly.
so complicated.
It's so complicated. A friend of mine was going through a relationship woes the other day, and she broke up with her boyfriend and she was super upset about it. And she sent me this little cartoon clip. And the cartoon clip had a heart in a cage, and the thing outside of the cage was the brain, and he had the key. And so when you talk about being honest with yourself first, you know, but the brain really just wants to keep us safe. It's because, again, brain thinks that heart is the problem. Like, you keep getting out of this cage and causing us heartache, and we're crying and we're emotional, and I don't have time for that, right? I know my brain is like, girl, quit the bullshit and get back in the fucking cage because we ain't got time. And so my brain is hyperactive on locking up little heart because she literally wants to get out of the cage and just jump into the deep end. She's not checking the temperature. She's just like, I love everything. And then he's like, no, we're getting hurt. And so I think people struggle with this balance. Is there ever I don't think balance exists, but is there ever a balance between what your brain understands to be true versus what your heart knows to be true to you? And I think that's the difference. Heart really is saying, this is what matters to us. Brain is like, this is what matters for you to stay alive. And what's right and what's wrong? Does it depend? I don't
Yeah,
know.
there's no such thing as right and wrong. There's
Yeah,
only
that's
a soup. When you go on a roller
right.
coaster at an amusement park, the experience you're having at that on a roller coaster is the closest to actual real life. We just
Mm,
back to the brain with the ego fanning the flame. We're looking for this fake safety or this fake
right.
right or wrong or this where the calm, not the storm. But the truth is, all these practices of meditation, dance, yoga, singing, forest walking, they're all to get you to get your nervous system to relax enough to feel
Yeah.
safe enough to let the queen rule. And the queen
Mm.
is complicated. It is messy. It is like weather. It is, but the safety that we have to learn is how to ride that wave with our truth being how we feel at every second. And
Right.
that is the way you find the balance. The balance isn't like every day is going to be great or every day is going to be shitty. The balance is, okay, for this 1 second, I feel really good in here.
Right.
Hey, what that just happened? I no longer feel good in here. What just happened? Scanning.
Right.
Oh, Kimba said something that hurt my feelings. Okay, truth. I can either now change and have an attitude with Kimba. Our relationship's going to change because my energy will change. Therefore, her energy will change, and then we'll be
Right.
more dynamic. Or I can stop and say, okay, oh, Kimba, I love you and I trust that you meant something positive, but I got triggered. Can we take a minute to figure out what, like, literally second by second, step by stepping into keeping that feeling you want alive in your heart? When I
Right.
worked in the music industry, it was very evident to me. I'd work at some record labels that were run
Hmm.
a suit. Someone used to be a lawyer, someone used to be a
Always. Aren't they
businessman.
all run by suits? Like,
No,
yeah.
I've had the blessing of one time
Really?
having a company
Ooh.
I worked run by a creative. What
Okay.
it
Then now
was.
that's different.
Now, the business one was always like charts and focus groups and trying to nail the
Mm.
thing. But music is creativity that comes from your heart.
Right.
That a massive moment where everyone feels it at once is lightning in a bottle. You
Right.
can't make that happen, but you have to love the process and be in the creativity enough to be happy with whatever happens. And therefore, you're in a state of love and passion and joy with each other. You're workshopping, you're creating things, you're in creation. Creation is the highest vibration of the heart. When we're
Mm.
completely in creation, in the love and passion of what we're doing for a person, for some art, or offering a service in the world. Muhammad Ali, one of my favorite quotes, is that service is the gift to live on this planet. Like to be in
Yes.
service is what you have to pay to be a participant on this world. So when you're in creation at all times, your wheels are turning, everyone else is feeling good. It's like having a whole bus and everyone's singing and everyone's having a good time. But when you're in focus groups and you're letting the brain lean and the ego is fanning the flame to be safe, you're constantly creating a character to be safe. You're creating a projection of what they think is needed here. It's like on social media where I'm like, ugh, I'm thirst trapping. I want all these things versus like,
Bikinis and boobs out and yum yum
yeah,
yum yum.
making this experience that I feel the world wants to have. It's not necessarily my authentic experience.
Yeah.
So the balance is making a mission to be heart centered and to be in joy. And yeah, I want to pull my hair out at how much people really think that what I'm talking about is so luxury and whatever. It's
Right.
essential tool of transformation. Like I
Right.
couldn't even be more. And the inner work that we are afraid to do, we can hide from it. It'll get you. You'll have an accident, or you'll lose a job, or a partner.
Right.
So either understand that the most delicious, sexy, juiciest relationship you could ever have in your life is with yourself,
Yeah.
following your heart completely and trusting it. Sometimes I get so freaked out that I have to walk around my house like, I trust the process. I trust life. I
Right.
trust. I trust because I know that when I follow that, that it's going to be magic. But when I get
Right.
scared and run off to the side of the road, I'm lost.